Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are doing something a little different. Usually, we take a stack of articles or some new trend and we try to make sense of it. But today, we are going to the bedrock.
Yes.
We're looking at a book that is, it's basically the operating manual for how modern organizations and honestly how human communities are supposed to work.
That's a great way to put it, an operating manual.
We are tackling the practical companion to a management classic. We are diving into the fifth discipline Fieldbook by Peter Senge and his team.
It's great to be here, and I'm really glad you emphasized that word practical.
Yeah.
Because if Senge's original book, The Fifth Discipline, was the philosophy class that, completely changed your worldview.
Right, it blew your mind.
Blew your mind. This Fieldbook is the lab work. It's the Monday morning manual. It answers that nagging question that always comes up after a big idea. Okay, I get the theory, I'm inspired, but what do I actually do when I walk into the office tomorrow?
Exactly. What is the first step? And it is a monster of a book. It's dense. It's full of diagrams and exercises.
It is.
But before we get into the flowcharts, and we will get into them, so you should buckle up.
Yeah.
I want to start somewhere that feels totally disconnected from corporate management. I want to start in northern Natal in South Africa.
It's a beautiful and I would say a necessary place to start. It's really the only place to start.
So the source material opens with this story about a greeting used by the tribes there. It's not hi or how's it going or, what's up. The greeting is sawubona.
Sawubona.
And the translation is, it's just literal. It means, I see you.
It sounds simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just a nice kind of poetic greeting. But I really want us to pause here because I think we, especially in the West, we tend to romanticize this stuff without understanding the mechanics of it. We think, oh, that's sweet.
Right.
But you have to think about the physics of that interaction.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second. In English, I say hello. I nod. I'm acknowledging you. I'm not ignoring you. Is there really a functional difference, or is this just, linguistics? Are we just splitting hairs?
It's a totally valid skepticism. But think about what you're doing when you say hello in a busy hallway in, say, London or New York.
Yeah.
You're executing a social protocol. It's a ping. Checkbox ticked. I acknowledged a human obstacle in my path so I don't bump into them.
That's a bit cynical, but yeah, probably true.
Your internal state hasn't changed. Not really. You're still thinking about your meeting, your coffee, that email you have to send.
Right. It's morning, grunt. Keep walking. I haven't actually engaged with you at all.
Exactly. You haven't stopped. But with sawubona, I see you, the intention is radically different. The literal translation is actually closer to I witness you.
I witness you.
Yes. It implies that my attention has shifted entirely from my internal monologue to your presence, and the response is even more profound. The response is sikona.
Which translates to I am here.
I am here. Now, to a Western ear, that sounds redundant. Obviously, you're here. I'm looking right at you.
You're here.
But in the Ubuntu philosophy of that region, being here isn't a geographical fact. It's a social achievement. The belief is, until you see me, I do not essentially exist.
Wait, run that by me again. Until you see me, I do not exist.
Correct. I might exist as a biological entity, a bag of meat and bones walking down the hall.
A human obstacle.
A human obstacle, exactly. But I do not exist as a person until the web of relationships acknowledges me. When you look at me and you offer sawubona, you bring me into existence.
That is actually kind of terrifying.
It is.
Because if that's true, then the inverse must be true. If I walk past you in the office looking at my phone, maybe I give you a little nod, but I don't really look at you.
You are effectively deleting me. You are uncreating a person.
Wow.
And this connects directly to the concept of Ubuntu. You hear this word sometimes in diplomatic circles, but the folk saying is Umuntu ungumuntu nagabantu. It means a person is a person because of other people.
A person is a person because of other people.
My identity isn't just me inside my head. It's a collaborative project that depends on you seeing me.
Okay, so let's take that heavy, heavy concept and drop it into, I don't know, the average Tuesday morning in a corporate office building. The source material tells a story about this, right? About an internal consultant.
Yes, and it's a heartbreaking story, really. This consultant was raised in a rural village with this Ubuntu ethic. He works for a large corporation. He pours his heart and soul into a project, plays a key role in its success. Then there's a big meeting to discuss the project.
And let me guess, he gets a nice bonus.
Worse, much worse. He goes to the meeting and the executives discuss the work, They talk about the results, the numbers, but nobody mentions his name. They talk about the project, but not the person.
So he felt slighted? He felt unappreciated? That's understandable.
It went so much deeper than that. He told the authors of the book, they did not make me a person.
Wow.
He felt erased. In his culture, that wasn't just rude, it was an act of violence against his very existence.
They did not make me a person. I mean, that sets the stakes incredibly high for what we usually think of as just being polite.
It does. And that is the theme setup for this entire deep dive. We are going to talk about learning organizations, which, let's be honest, sounds like a buzzword.
Totally.
We're going to talk about systems diagrams and feedback loops, but at its core, this book argues that you cannot have a high-performing organization if you are erasing the people inside of it. It's about building a community where I see you is the operating system, not just a nice idea on a poster.
So let's unpack this operating system. We've established that the Fieldbook is about the how. The authors, Senge, Kleiner, Roberts, Ross, Smith, they realized people were getting stuck. They'd read the theory and then just hit a brick wall.
Right. People would say, great, I want a learning organization. Do I buy a software package? Do I hire a consultant? And the Fieldbook introduces this core framework they call the deep learning cycle.
Is that different from just, learning a new skill? Like, I learned how to use this new AI tool, or I learned how to make a pivot table.
Very, very different. Most corporate learning is just gathering information. It's additive. The deep learning cycle is a feedback loop that changes you. It has 3 stages, and they feed into each other. First, you have skills and capabilities. That's the stuff you can do.
Okay, so the practical stuff, coding, writing, public speaking, the resume stuff.
Exactly, the resume stuff. But here is the trick. As you develop new skills, you start to see the world differently. That leads to the second stage. Awareness and sensibilities. You start noticing things you literally could not see before you had the skill.
It's like, okay, let me try an analogy. Imagine learning a musical instrument. I play a little guitar. Before I learned chords, a song on the radio was just a wall of sound. It was just music. But once I learned the physical skill of playing a C chord, suddenly I could hear the C chords in every single song on the radio. My awareness changed.
That is a perfect analogy. You can't unhear it now, right?
No, never.
The world has more texture for you. And that change in awareness, that's what leads to the third and deepest stage, attitudes and beliefs. Because you see the world differently, your fundamental beliefs about how the world works start to shift.
Give me an example of that shift with the music analogy.
Well, sticking with your music analogy, before you played, you might have believed music is magic that only geniuses create.
Right. I could never do that.
Exactly. After you learn the skill and gain the awareness of chords, your belief shifts to music is a structure that can be deconstructed and learned. That is a fundamental shift in your worldview. And that new belief makes you want to learn more skills, which starts the cycle all over again.
So it's a spiral. It's not a line. It just keeps going.
It's a spiral. And the Fieldbook is designed to get that spiral spinning. If you just teach skills without changing awareness, you get robots. If you just change beliefs without giving people skills, you get frustrated dreamers. You need the whole cycle.
Okay, so let's get into the architecture of this thing. The authors provide a visual model to help us understand how a learning organization is actually built. And for you listening, I want you to visualize this. We have a triangle and a circle.
Yes, this is what they call the architecture of a learning organization. I want you to imagine a triangle sitting on the ground. It's stable, it's rigid. This represents the domain of action. This is the hardware of the company, the tangible stuff.
Okay, so let's walk the corners of the triangle. What are we building here?
The 3 corners are things you can touch or document. You've got guiding ideas, innovations in infrastructure, and theory, methods, and tools.
Okay, infrastructure and tools I get. That's the org chart, the software we use, the office layout, the meeting cadence. But guiding ideas feels a bit fluffy.
It can be.
This feels like where a company slaps a mission statement on the wall. We value integrity, and then everyone just ignores it.
Exactly, and Senge and his team warn against that very thing. In this model, guiding ideas aren't static slogans. They're living, evolving concepts. There is a great quote in the book from Bill O'Brien, who is the CEO of Hanover Insurance. He says, "Good ideas drive out bad ideas."
That sounds simple? Maybe.
Yeah.
Too simple.
But think about what he's implying there. He's saying the problem with most toxic companies isn't that they have no ideas. It's that they are driven by bad ideas, often subconsciously.
Okay, so what's a bad guiding idea
Yeah.
in this context?
Oh, things like the name of the game is climbing the corporate ladder.
Right. It's all about looking good for the boss.
Or never tell the boss the bad news. Or resources are scarce, so I have to hoard them from the other departments.
Oof. Yeah, okay. Those are definitely guiding ideas, even if they aren't written on the wall.
Precisely. And they are incredibly powerful. To replace those, the Fieldbook suggests we need to challenge 3 bedrock assumptions of Western culture. And this is where the book gets really philosophical, but it's crucial to get your head around.
Okay, hit me with the first one. Let's get philosophical.
The first one is the primacy of the whole. In the West, we are obsessed with parts. We take a car apart to see how it works. We break a company down into its departments: marketing, sales, HR, engineering. We think the parts are real and the whole is just a container.
But the field book says, what? The opposite.
The Fieldbook argues that relationships are more fundamental than things. The whole is primordial. You can't understand the heart without understanding the entire circulatory system. If you take a heart out of a body, it's just a lump of meat. It loses its definition, its purpose. The connections matter more than the nodes.
Okay, that's a big one. What's assumption number 2?
The community nature of the self. And this goes right back to Sawubona. In the West, we love the rugged individualist, the John Wayne hero, the lone genius coder in the basement.
It's a self-made person.
Right. But a learning organization assumes that the self is inherently communal. We learn and grow through others. My ideas are sharpened by your challenges. My weaknesses are covered by your strengths.
And the third assumption we need to challenge.
The generative power of language. We usually think we use language to describe reality. I say, the sales are down. I'm describing a fact, like pointing at a rock. But this view suggests that language creates reality.
This sounds a bit, I don't know, woo-woo or manifest destiny.
It's actually much more practical than that. When a leader walks into a room and says, "This is a disaster," they have created a psychological reality called disaster mode.
Right.
Everyone tightens up, they stop taking risks, they look for someone to blame. If that same leader walks in, sees the same facts, and says, "This is a fascinating puzzle we need to solve," they create a puzzle mode.
And then curiosity turns on. People start collaborating.
Exactly. The facts are the same, but the reality of the room is completely different.
That is a huge shift in responsibility.
Yeah.
You have to watch your mouth because you're literally building the world with your words.
Precisely. Now remember the triangle. That was the domain of action. But floating above it, or maybe permeating through it, is the circle.
The circle.
The circle represents the domain of enduring change. That's the deep learning cycle we talked about. Awareness, skills, attitudes. It's the software. You can build the best triangle in the world. Great tools, great infrastructure, great mission statement. But if that circle isn't spinning, if people aren't changing how they think,
The building is empty. It's a zombie company.
it's a zombie company. Exactly. So how do you know if the circle is spinning? How do you know if you are actually in a learning organization?
I feel like learning organization has become such a buzzword. Like, oh yes, we are a learning org. We have a subscription to LinkedIn Learning.
Right, we have a training budget.
Huh.
The Fieldbook gives us a checklist to cut through the fluff. Here are the signs. First, people feel they are doing work that matters to them personally, not just to the shareholders.
Okay, a sense of purpose,
Second, people are stretching.
meaning they are stressed out and overworked.
No. Meaning they are growing their capacity, they're doing things today they couldn't do yesterday, they feel challenged but not overwhelmed. Third, and this is a big one, people are more intelligent together than they are apart.
That's rare. Usually committees make everyone dumber.
The dreaded design by committee, right. But in a true learning org, the team IQ is higher than the individual IQ. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And finally, and this is the hardest one, there are no undiscussable subjects, no sacred cows.
So if the CEO's pet project is tanking, you can actually say that out loud.
You must say it. If you can't, you aren't learning, you're just pretending. The book connects this to what it calls the wheel of learning. It demands a rhythm of action and reflection. You need repose. You need time to stop and think. If you are just action, you are in a learning organization. You're a hamster on a wheel.
I think a lot of our listeners right now probably feel like hamsters. We confuse activity with productivity, and neither of them is the same as learning.
Correct. And to break out of that hamster wheel, you need what Senge calls the anchor discipline. You need systems thinking.
Okay, section 2. Systems thinking. This is the heavy lifting. I've always been intimidated by this stuff. It feels like engineering. It feels like I need a degree in fluid dynamics or something.
It can feel that way, and a lot of books present it that way. But the Fieldbook reframes it beautifully. It says systems thinking isn't just a tool, it's a language. And the reason we struggle with complexity is that our native language, English, for example, is actually really bad at it.
How is English bad at explaining the world? I think I'm pretty good at English.
English is linear. It's built on subject, verb, object. The boy kicked the ball. The marketing campaign increased sales. It describes a straight line. A causes B.
Yeah.
But in the real world, B often causes A, and both of them affect C, which then feeds back to A. It's a web, not a line.
So we are trying to describe a circle with a vocabulary of straight lines.
Exactly. We need a language of links and loops. The book introduces this with a great analogy involving a farm child, a guy named Jim Boswell.
Oh, I like this one. It challenges the idea that you need a PhD to do this.
Absolutely. Farm children intuitively understand systems. They know that the cow eats the grass, the cow produces manure, the manure fertilizes the field, the grass grows back. It's a cycle. If you interrupt one part, the whole thing crashes.
Right.
They know that during a flood is actually when you have to be most careful about conserving clean water.
That's so counterintuitive to a city kid like me. I'd think, there's water everywhere. Why do I need to conserve?
Because the flood runoff contaminates the wells, the system has flipped. Farm kids know that you don't just fix a drought, you manage the whole system through the drought. Systems thinking is about seeing these loops, and there are two basic types of loops you need to visualize.
Okay, let's build the visual vocabulary. What are they?
First, you have the reinforcing loop. Think of a snowball rolling down a hill.
It gets bigger and bigger, faster and faster.
Right. Or a bank account with compound interest. Or a viral video. It creates exponential growth. Or, on the flip side, collapse. It accelerates.
Okay, that's one. And the second loop.
The second is the balancing loop. Think of a balance beam or your thermostat at home. If the room gets too hot, the AC kicks in to bring it back down. If it gets too cold, the heat kicks in to bring it back up. It's always trying to reach a target or an equilibrium.
Okay, snowballs and thermostats. I can visualize that. But let's apply it to business, because this is where people get hurt. The Fieldbook uses the Acme Company case study.
Yes. And I want us to walk through this slowly because this exact thing happens in almost every company. Let's look at the vicious cycle.
Okay, set the scene for me.
Acme Company wants to increase sales. So their logic says, improved service leads to higher sales. That's a reinforcing loop. Better service, happier customers, more sales, more happy customers. Simple, right?
Sounds great. That's the snowball we want. A win-win.
But there's a trap. As sales go up, the workload on the service staff increases.
Naturally. More customers means more calls, more problems to solve.
Now, if Acme doesn't hire more people fast enough or train them well enough, what happens?
Service quality drops. Wait times go up. People get grumpy. The staff gets burned out.
Right. And now, poor service leads to lower sales. That is the balancing loop kicking in, the thermostat trying to cool things down. Now, here is where the snapshot thinking kills them. Management looks at the quarterly report. Oh no, sales are down. What is the knee-jerk linear reaction to dropping sales?
Panic. We're bleeding money.
Mhm.
So cut costs. Lay off the excess staff in the service department.
Right. We need to tighten our belts. So they fire 3 service reps. The immediate result, expenses go down. The CEO looks like a genius for exactly 1 quarter.
Look, I saved the budget. I'm a hero.
But look at the system. The remaining support staff is now handling 30% more calls. They are more stressed. They burn out faster. Service quality plummets.
Which makes customers even angrier, which makes sales drop further.
Which makes the CEO say, wow, sales are down again. We must really be bloated. Fire 3 more people.
It's a death spiral. You can see it so clearly when you draw it out.
It is. And they think they are solving the problem of high costs, but they are actually driving the engine of their own destruction. They are stepping on the gas pedal thinking it's the brake.
And this happens because they're looking at events, not the system.
Precisely. This leads us to the 4 levels of thinking. This is a diagnostic tool I use all the time in my own work. Level 1 is events. We have the wrong part numbers. This is reactive. You're just fighting fires. Most managers live and die here.
Fix the bug, answer the angry email, close the ticket.
Level 2 is patterns of behavior. You know, this happens every time we launch a new model. Now you're being adaptive. You're seeing a trend over time.
That's better. You can predict the fire, even if you can't stop it yet.
But the systems thinker goes to level 3, systemic structure. Is there a causal relationship between the sales pressure we put on the team and the delivery errors they are making? Now, you are being creative. You are looking for the structural design flaw, the loops we just talked about.
And what's level 4? What's deeper than that?
Level 4 is mental models. What are the assumptions we are making that built this structure in the first place? Why do we value speed over accuracy? Why do we assume customers only care about price and not service? That is transformative. That changes the entire organization.
So if you're stuck fighting fires every single day, you're stuck at level 1. You have to force yourself to dive deeper.
You do, and the Fieldbook gives you archetypes to help you recognize these structures quickly. We just talked about one. It's a version of fixes that backfire.
I love the example they use for fixes that backfire, the gridlock or the chassis example in the car.
Yes, it's so clear. An auto team has a noise problem in the car. It vibrates too much. The fix is to add reinforcements to the chassis.
Makes sense. Stiffen it up, stop the vibration, problem solved.
But the reinforcement adds weight. Weight reduces fuel economy. Now you have a fuel economy problem, so you try to fix that, maybe by lightening some engine components, which creates a safety or a reliability problem down the line. The fix created a new unintended consequence because they didn't see the whole car as a system.
There's another archetype in there called shifting the burden. And this one feels like it applies to my personal life, honestly.
This is the addiction archetype. It's universal. You have a problem. You can apply a symptomatic solution, a quick fix, or a fundamental solution, a long-term fix.
Okay, give me an example. Like,
Okay.
I'm tired in the afternoon. Symptomatic solution. Drink a double espresso. Fundamental solution. Go to bed earlier tonight.
Perfect. If you drink the espresso, the symptom, the tiredness, goes away, the pain stops. But you didn't fix the underlying sleep deprivation. In fact, the caffeine makes it harder to sleep tonight, so tomorrow you are even more tired.
So I drink 2 espressos.
Exactly. You have shifted the burden of creating energy to the intervention, to the coffee. Your body's own ability to energize itself atrophies. In business, this is hiring consultants to solve problems instead of training your staff. The staff gets weaker and more dependent, so you need more consultants next time.
That is terrifyingly accurate. It's a dependency and addiction cycle.
It is, and breaking it requires you to tolerate the pain of the symptom, being tired or having a messy project, while you slowly implement the fundamental solution, sleeping or training the team.
Which requires a lot of discipline, which leads us perfectly to section 3, personal mastery.
This is often the favorite discipline for people when they read the book, but it's also the most misunderstood.
Yeah, mastery sounds a bit aggressive, like master the universe.
Yeah.
It sounds like dominance or control.
Right. I will crush the competition. But the Fieldbook goes to the etymology, the root of the word. It comes from the French maître, which means a craftsperson, someone who is proficient. It implies a level of skill where things become effortless. It's not about struggle, it's about flow, like a master potter throwing clay on a wheel. They aren't fighting the clay, they're dancing with it.
So how do we practice this? Is it just positive thinking? I am a master.
No, it's actually much harder than positive thinking. The core practice is holding 2 things in your mind at once. Your personal vision, what you truly want to create, and current reality, where you are right now, with brutal honesty.
And this creates that rubber band effect they talk about.
Yes, the creative tension. I want everyone listening to do this physically for a moment. Imagine a rubber band. Hold your left hand up high, that's your vision. Hold your right hand down low, that's reality. The rubber band is stretched between them. There is tension.
My arms are getting tired just thinking about it. Nature wants to resolve tension. Something has to give.
Exactly. There are only 2 ways to relax that rubber band. 1, pull the bottom hand up. You change reality to match your vision. That's growth. That's making it happen. That's learning and building.
And the other way, the easy way.
2, lower the top hand. Lower your vision to match reality. Well, I didn't really want to write that book anyway. We didn't really need to be market leaders. It's too hard.
That's depressing. But it's comfortable. The tension is gone.
It creates immediate relief. That tension you feel, the fear, the doubt, the feeling of I'm not worthy, that is called emotional tension. The discipline of personal mastery is learning to distinguish between creative tension, which is a good motivating force, and emotional tension, which is painful. You have to learn to tolerate the emotional tension so the creative tension can do its work.
That is such a crucial distinction. We lower our standards to make ourselves feel better, but we kill our potential in the process.
Precisely. And the Fieldbook pushes this even further into what they call intrapersonal mastery. This is where the Ubuntu concept comes right back in.
The interdependent self.
Right. They use the electricity game analogy. Imagine a group of kids standing in a circle holding hands. You squeeze the hand of the person to your left, and that squeeze travels around the circle.
Oh yeah, I played this at summer camp.
If you're just thinking about yourself, you might hold on to the squeeze, or you might squeeze way too hard. To play well, you have to be aware of the system flowing through you.
You are just a conduit, a node in the network.
Yes, it moves from reactive, I got squeezed, to creative, I passed the squeeze, to interdependent, I am part of the circuit. Leaders like Don Burr from People Express talked about this. He saw leadership as stewardship, as making a better world. It wasn't just about the airline, it was about the ecosystem of people connected to it.
Which leads us to the filter through which we see all of this. Because
Yeah.
we don't just see the world as it is, we see it through our own messy brains. Section 4, mental models.
The pane of glass.
Explain this one. I think this is so powerful.
We assume we see reality, but actually we are looking through a pane of glass. That glass is our mental model, our assumptions, our biases, our past experiences. The problem is we don't see the glass. We just see the world and assume the dirt is on the world, not on our window.
The story in the book about the man fired 7 times. That's a rough one, but it's so clear.
It's tragic, but illustrative. He goes to a therapist and asks, why are there so many screwed up people in the world? Why is every boss I have an idiot?
He thinks he's looking through a perfectly clear window at a world full of idiots.
But he's looking through a dirty, distorted pane of glass. His mental model says, the problem is always out there. As long as he holds that model, he will be fired an 8th time and a 9th. He can't see his own role in the system he keeps creating.
But it's so hard to see your own glass. How do you scrape the dirt off if you don't even know it's there?
Well, the Fieldbook suggests we learn our mental models only when they clash with reality. They use this fantastic analogy of building expert systems or AI programming.
This was written in the 90s, but it sounds like they're talking about training ChatGPT or something.
It's very similar. When they built early AI, they found you couldn't just ask an expert, say a master geologist, tell me everything you know about finding oil. The expert couldn't list it. It was intuitive. I just know.
So what did they do? How did they get the knowledge out?
Rapid prototyping. They'd build a basic model, let it fail, and then show the failure to the expert. The expert would immediately say, that's nonsense, I would never drill there. And the programmer would ask the magic question, why? And that is when the mental model came out. Well, because under these conditions, I prioritize seismic data over soil samples. Aha! That's a rule.
So we have to be surprised into seeing our own assumptions.
Yes, and we need tools to help us process that surprise. The book mentions the ladder of inference.
I want to drill down on this one. I feel like I climb this ladder 5 times before breakfast every day.
You absolutely do. We all do. Let's run a simulation. Imagine you send a Slack message to your boss. Hey, do you have a minute to talk about the project?
Okay, send.
2 hours pass. It shows the little check mark. Read. No reply.
Oh, I hate that. My stomach just drops.
Okay, stop right there. That is the data, the observable reality. Message read, no reply. That is the bottom rung of the ladder. But you don't stay there, do you?
No, I immediately move to. He's ignoring me.
Right. You've added meaning. You interpreted the silence as an active choice. Now, let's climb to the next rung, assumptions. Why is he ignoring you?
Well, clearly, he didn't like the presentation I gave yesterday. He's annoyed with me. He thinks I'm incompetent.
Okay, now we are getting dangerous. You've assumed an entire emotional state based on 0 new evidence. Next rung, conclusions. If he's annoyed and ignoring you, what does that mean for your future at this company?
It means I'm probably not getting that promotion. Or worse, I'm on the chopping block. My job is at risk.
And finally, the top of the ladder, action. What do?
I start updating my resume. Or next time I see him in the kitchen, I'm cold. I'm defensive. I don't make eye contact.
And when you act defensive, he thinks, wow, why is he being so weird? And he actually does start to get annoyed with you. You created the reality you feared.
And the reality was, he was just in back-to-back meetings.
He opened the message, someone walked into his office, he got distracted, and he totally forgot about it.
We climbed that ladder in what? A microsecond? It's instantaneous.
Instantly. The discipline of a learning org is to catch yourself at the second rung. To say, wait, the data is just silence. Everything else is a story I'm telling myself.
That is incredibly useful. Another tool they mention is writing to your loyalties. This is about the dilemma of writing reports in a big organization.
Oh, this is a classic corporate bind. Do you write the truth, or do you write what the boss wants to hear? The Fieldbook suggests using this tension as a learning tool. Write the report you want to write, the brutally honest one. Then write the report you think you have to write to survive. Compare them. The difference between those two drafts reveals the hidden mental models of your organization.
That is a very brave exercise.
It is, but remember, no undiscussable subjects.
Okay, let's zoom out again. We've got the individual mastering themselves. We've got them thinking in systems. How do we get everyone on the same page, aligned? Section 5, shared vision.
This is where most leadership fails spectacularly. They confuse shared vision with the CEO's vision.
Here is my vision. Please share it.
Exactly. I have a dream. Now you all go dream it too. It just doesn't work. The Fieldbook outlines a developmental path, a staircase of vision.
Okay, walk us up the stairs. Where does it start?
Step 1, the bottom step. Telling. The boss dictates, this is what we are doing. This gets compliance maybe, but not commitment.
Sure.
Step 2, selling. The boss tries to enroll people. Here's why this is great for you. It's better, but it's still top-down. It's a sales pitch.
Okay.
Step 3, testing. The boss asks, here's the vision. What do you all think? Now we are getting some feedback, which is good.
Better.
Step 4, consulting. I want to go there, but I need your input on how we get there, and maybe we can tweak the destination. And then the top step, step 5, co-creating. The vision emerges from the collective conversation.
Co-creating sounds messy and slow.
It is messy, and it is slow, but it's the only way to get true ownership. And the strategic tip here is so counterintuitive. Start with personal vision.
Why? That sounds selfish. Shouldn't we start with the company's vision?
You cannot have a shared vision if the people in the room don't have their own visions first. If I don't know what I want, I'm just going to passively accept whatever you tell me. I become a sheep. But if I know what I want and you know what you want, we can have a real conversation and find the common ground. That overlap is the shared vision.
That makes so much sense. It's not about erasing the individual for the good of the group. It's about aligning the empowered individual with the group.
Yes. And we need to be precise about our terms here. The Fieldbook distinguishes between vision, values, purpose, and goals.
Break those down for us.
Yeah.
Because usually these are just headers on a PowerPoint slide that all blend together.
Vision, the desired future, it must be sensory. The word comes from the Latin videre, to see. What does it look like? What does it feel like?
Okay.
Values, how we travel on the journey. Our moral compass, we don't cheat to get there.
Right.
Purpose, why we exist in the first place, the deeper reason. And goals, the specific milestones we hit along the way.
Most companies mix all those up, don't they?
They have a mission statement that is actually just a goal, or a vision that is just a vague value. We want to be the best-in-class solution provider. That is not a vision, that is corporate speak. A vision is, we want to create a computer that a bicycle courier can use with one hand in the rain. That's a picture. I can see the courier, I can see the rain, I can see the device.
Got it. Okay, moving to the final discipline. This is where it all comes together. Section 6, team learning.
This is where the rubber meets the road. How do we think together as a group? The Fieldbook distinguishes between discussion and dialogue.
I always thought those were synonyms, basically.
In common usage, they are. But if you look at the roots of the words, it's fascinating. Discussion shares the same root as percussion and concussion. It means to shake apart, to break down. It's like a ping pong match. I throw an idea, you hit it back. We are analyzing, dissecting, trying to win points.
Well,
that's a bad idea because of X. Well, you're wrong because of Y.
And dialogue, what's the root of that?
Dialogos. It means flow of meaning. In dialogue, we aren't trying to win. We are trying to suspend our assumptions and think together. It's more like jazz. We are improvising on a theme to create something new that none of us could have created alone.
But you can't just sit in a circle and hope for jazz to happen. You need practice. You need a safe place.
Right. And this brings us to the final big tool, micro-worlds and learning labs.
This is the flight simulator concept for business.
Exactly. Imagine telling a pilot, here's the instruction manual, now go fly the 747 with 300 people on board. It's insane, right? But we do that with managers every single day. Here's a budget, go run the division.
And if they crash the division, it takes a year or more to find out.
That's the problem. The feedback loop in the real world is too slow. You make a decision today, and the result happens in 18 months. You never learn because you can't connect the cause and the effect.
So the micro world compresses time.
It's a computer simulation. You can run 10 years of business in an afternoon. You can crash the company 5 times before lunch and learn from it in a way that doesn't cost real jobs.
They mentioned the People Express simulator in the book.
Yes, this is a famous one. Managers play the role of the airline executives. They almost always crash the company.
Why? Are they just stupid?
No, they are linear thinkers caught in a complex system.
Yeah.
They focus on the hard variables: ticket price, number of planes, marketing spend. They ignore the soft variable: service capacity, employee burnout, morale.
Uh,
They grow the fleet, which is a reinforcing loop, but they don't hire enough support staff, which creates a nasty balancing loop. Service crashes, word of mouth goes negative, and the airline dies.
and the computer shows them exactly where they went wrong.
Well, careful. The computer shows the data, but the learning happens in the conversation about the data. The expert warns. The computer doesn't give the answer. The dialogue around the simulation reveals the team's hidden assumptions. Why did you buy more planes when morale was tanking? Well, I thought. Boom. There it is. Mental model revealed.
It all connects.
Yeah.
The micro world reveals the mental model, which requires systems thinking to understand,
Oh.
which requires team learning to solve.
And it requires personal mastery to admit you were wrong without your ego exploding. They all weave together.
We have woven the basket. So bringing it to the outro, we have these 5 disciplines: systems thinking, personal mastery, mental models, shared vision, team learning.
And Sens emphasizes that they are an ensemble. The hand metaphor is perfect here. You can't turn a doorknob with just 2 fingers. You need the whole hand. You might be great at systems thinking, but if you have toxic mental models, you'll just design really efficient toxic systems. You might have a great shared vision, but if you lack team learning, you'll never execute on it.
It's a massive undertaking. It's not a quick fix you can install on Friday.
It is a never-ending journey. That is why it's called a learning organization, not a learned organization. You never arrive. You are always in the process of becoming.
So if I'm a listener and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by the scope of all this,
Yeah.
what is the one thing I should take away? What's the first step?
I want to circle back to the very, very beginning, to Sawu Bona.
I see you.
If we accept the systems view that we are all interconnected, if we accept the Ubuntu view that I am a person because of you, then fixing the organization doesn't start with a reorg chart or a new software platform. It starts in the hallway.
It starts with seeing your neighbor.
It starts with genuinely seeing the person next to you, acknowledging their existence, their potential, and their role in the system that you both inhabit. If you change that one micro interaction from erasure to recognition, you send a pulse through the entire system. You change the feedback loop.
So that's the challenge for tomorrow morning. When you walk into that meeting or onto that Zoom call or just to the coffee machine, look at someone, really look at them and say, I see you. Maybe not literally in Zulu unless you want to explain this whole deep dive, but with your attitude.
Make them a person. And then just see what shifts in the system.
I love that. Dive deep, everyone, and keep learning. We'll see you next time.
Sikona, I am here.